Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the disturbing movie breakdown. That is right, this is the place to be for all your disturbing movie needs. This is the place to be if you're a bit too worried to go and check out a certain movie, so you come over to this idiot who puts herself through these things so you don't have to. So yeah, today's video is all about Threads. That is right, the 1984 British movie, television movie, Threads. And oh boy, let me tell you, this one was hard to watch. This one was disturbing for me personally. So yeah, this is the first one that I felt just so empty afterwards. So yeah, sounds like fun. Let's get into it. So as always, the non-spoiler synopsis for Threads is as follows. It follows a documentary style movie about the fallout of a nuclear explosion and how that impacts the lives of everyone, even if you are not directly in the source of the conflict. So yeah, there you go. That is your non-spoiler review. Yeah, let's get into this one, shall we? So to start off with, I honestly could not believe it was commissioned by the BBC. I was very surprised to hear it's commissioned by the BBC. So if you're not from England and you don't know what the BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation, and they are the national television channel where they get their income from taxpayers. They get their income from the TV license. It's all supposed to be for the people of Britain, paid for by the people of Britain. So really, it's meant to be very unbiased, a very neutral look at everything in the country. BBC have notoriously, especially nowadays, we're not going to get into that, but it does start, you do start to wonder whether or not how unbiased it really is. But back in this time in the 80s, it was rife, okay? Like, people were worried, people were angry over everything that was going on in the country at that time. You had Margaret Thatcher in charge, in power, and that caused a massive divide in the country, especially for working class people who felt that they were being unfairly treated by the government, and just the general lack of inspiration, and just they felt like the people of Britain just felt like they were being let down by their government, by the people that was meant to put them first, and they felt they were not being treated that way. And the fact that this television movie was commissioned by the BBC and broadcast on the BBC, where it shows the government officials very clueless, like, I was just very surprised that that was allowed at that time, because this definitely would not have helped matters with the general public and their viewing of the officials. They were already feeling like these people had no idea what to do and what they were going to do in the event of anything serious happening. And this movie kind of shows that they were right to think like that. So I was very, very surprised about it, if I'm honest. So yeah, if anyone knows, like, 'cause obviously I'm a young person. I was born in 97, so I wasn't around when this came out. If anyone that was around when this came out in the UK, comment down below if there was any like big backlash to this being released by the government, or if it was just kind of very quietly done. You know, I'm very intrigued how that was handled. But yeah, the actual movie itself is very, very bleak. It's got to be the most bleakest movie I've seen in a very, very long time, and the fact that it was done on such a tiny budget and makes it look like it's a soap opera, it just makes it that much more hard to watch, because it feels like you are actually there. It feels like you are watching a documentary. It's so well done, and it's so unflinching. Just, it's so blunt with everything about this, about the events and about the devastating repercussions of these events. And I will say this as well: if you are someone at the moment in time that is very panicked and very worried about the possibility of World War III and about the possibility of a nuclear war, this is not the movie for you. Okay, I would not watch this one if you are very worried because it is a scary time at the moment, and this movie will not help you with that at all. But yeah, let's get into more of the movie as and we'll kind of go from there. But this follows like I said, a documentary style film, and it's centered in Sheffield. Sheffield, if you're not from the UK or don't know much about the UK, it's a very working class northern city up in Yorkshire, and they're the steel miners. They're the steel city, so it's a lot of industry work there, and a lot of manual labour work there. And I think it's really cool they picked Sheffield because it is a city. So you always hear, don't you, that cities will be the ones that are impacted a lot in war, but I think a lot of times people, especially nowadays in movies and when they're looking at stuff like this, they focus more on the London of the country, whereas you can be anywhere and it can affect you, and it could affect you very badly. But this movie, the main character, if you could call it that, is Ruth, who is a woman, a young lady who is going to get married to her love Jimmy after she falls pregnant. And it starts off with them finding out about the pregnancy and about them organising, moving in together. They're going to get married. They're going to bring this baby up into a loving home. That's what their goals are. And this movie does so well with just the impending doom of it all, because from the start of the movie till the end, you have a running narration about what's going to happen, about how bad these people are going to be affected. It cuts to a lot of writing and text, which is very blunt about how many people die and what's happening and what's occurring whilst these events are happening simultaneously across the globe. So it really builds up the tension, and you're falling in love with these people. You're understanding how they work. You see their families, you see their hardships, you see them at their happiest, see them at, they're most annoyed at each other. It's just like it's a very blunt look at a working class family, a working class population, and knowing that things are going on and knowing what's going to happen, it just makes it that harder for when it actually happens, when the bomb happens. The bomb happens in the morning, and it's very good at detailing you when these bombs hit, what it hits, how far away kind of it hits, because when I said at the start, it shows a very good description of how you don't have to be in the middle of the conflict for these things to impact you. They didn't bomb Sheffield, they bombed places like off into the ocean and around, like NATO bases, that because it's such a big blast, it just impacts the around surrounding areas. And this one here looks at Sheffield, and the first one hits where the electric current just takes out all the power, and then the second one hits a NATO base, and that is where it hits, you get the nuclear blast, you get people just being burned, you get the explosions, you get people just being rained down with the radioactive ash. It's just all very bleak, and it's so just bang, this is what happened, this is what's happening, and this is what these people are going through. And it's so just happening, like it's there, like so abrupt that you're kind of left just trying to process everything. And this movie does a very interesting job, and I think a very realistic job, of not really giving you any closure about certain characters. For example, I mentioned about Ruth and Jimmy. You follow Jimmy a lot in this movie at the start before the impact of the bomb happens. You follow him, but the last you see of him is when the bomb happens and he's running to try and get to Ruth. And that's it. You never see him again. He's just disappeared. Like so many people that, will die in these situations, that are impacted in these situations, they just in a blink of an eye, they're gone. Same with his sister. His little sister is sent to get some rations, to get some, to go to the shops and buy some tinned foods and stuff to stock up on, and she's never seen again. And there's a reason why they just never talk and so about her, because she's not there, she's just gone. And it's just it's hard to watch knowing, okay, for a split second I was wondering, like, okay, when are we going to get back to Jimmy, yada yada yada, and then it kind of hits you, you're like, he's gone, we're not going to get back to Jimmy, he's gone. This movie just deals with just facts, and it's just like, nope, he was there, you could see where he was running around in, and you could see what happened when that bomb happened in that area, he's gone. And you just have to be like, okay, and then you roll with the punches, because then it just deals and goes into the aftermath of it, and it's very cleverly frames just how society collapses and how the government officials have no idea. They were so out of their depth about what to do. The narrator even says that a lot of the people that were in charge of preparation had only just been given that post like the day before. So people had no idea what they were doing in this movie, and they're trying to make these decisions of, okay, do we give food that food is dying because it's just killing out, all the radiations killed everything, and then in doing so it also killed like the ozone layer in the atmosphere, which in doing so is changing the weather, so we're getting famine. They're having to decide, okay, what do we do with such a little amount of food? Do we feed it to people who is going to die anyway through radiation poisoning? And it's just such a bleak, just look at it, there's no hope at all in this movie. And it follows Ruth as she travels and she goes to these different places trying to find some form of humanity left, and it's just the world of it is just harrowing and horrific. Currency is now food. If you have food, you're very powerful. You can pay people in food to do hard labor. It's under martial law, so you have people executing looters in the streets for trying to steal food. Ruth gives birth to a little girl called Jane, and because with the effects of the world, they don't talk in proper English, they talk in a broken language, and that's how the world's communicating now. Jane witnesses her mother die, Ruth die in front of her, and there's no emotion there, because it's just another part and parcel of this world. You see people die every second, and that's what happens. And you see her actually take some of her mother's stuff, and just get out of there. There's no crying, there's no grieving. It's like there's just no time to grieve. There's just nothing there anymore. There's no emotions there. And then you follow for the last 10-15 minutes with June. And she's stealing food, she's trying to get some food, and in an altercation she gets assaulted, which then in doing so impregnates her. And the final moment in this movie is she gives birth to this deformed stillborn child because of the effects of the radiation poisoning that she's been going through. And she just gets handed this wrapped up dead baby, and it's a freeze frame of her screaming, and then it cuts, and that's it. Like, it's just so bleak. There's no sense of hope, there's no sense of any happiness in any of these people's lives. There's no sense of just any sense of humanity making the best out of what they got. There's nothing. It's just everything goes into pure collapse mode. Everything is just collapsed, and it just follows these people as they have to live a new life, and just how bad that life is. And this movie, yes, you can say compared to other movies that I've been covering and other movies that I will cover, it's not as graphic. They do show quite a bit. They do show amputation scenes. They do show charred bodies. They do show bodies with maggots in them. All sorts of things like that. So they do show stuff, but obviously it's more of just the tone that is just so depressing as what's happening in the movie, that I found it really difficult to watch. I will never watch it again. I thought it was a fantastically well-made movie, and I thought I gave it like 4.5 stars, but I would never watch this movie again because it just left me feeling empty, and it left me feeling with no hope for the future if something like this was to happen. And I think that's why I say strongly, if you're someone that is very nervous and very worried about the state of the world today and about the possibility of a war happening and a nuclear war at that, don't watch this movie, because this movie will give you no sense of, okay, if this happened, we could do that. Everything just gets worse and worse and worse as this movie gets on, and it ends with no light at the end of the tunnel at all. And I think that if you're not prepared mentally for that, or you're someone that's a very big worrier about stuff, don't watch this movie, because it will just make you a lot more sad and a lot more paranoid and just more defeated about life in general. And I think that, yeah, you're going to want to stay clear of that. But if you're someone that's really interested in this type of thing, someone that can deal with the fact that this is a movie and deal with the fact that try and like push it away from the real world events, then definitely watch it, because I think it's something important for people to watch at least once in their lives, because it's so well done. And just, yeah, I thought it was a fantastic movie, but one I will never ever watch again. So for the disturbing scale, I'm going to give Threads a 10 out of 10. I thought this one just completely messed with me. This one just left me just feeling numb for a while after, and these other movies haven't. But thank you so much for watching. If you have seen this movie, comment down below what your thoughts on it was. And also, like I said, if you're around at this time when it came out, what was the reaction like with the government and with the general public? Did it cause mass panic, or was it more did it cause more problems with the division between the government and the population? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure as well you follow me on all these socials. This is the place to be for all things movie related content here, so it's all good. Fun. Also, give this video a like and a subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and it means you can't miss any more of these lovely fun videos. Yay! Thank you so much for watching. I will see you at the next disturbing movie breakdown. This has been Sophia Margaritelli. Ciao, goodbye for now.